So this class is particularly for EdCom. What do you mean by EdCom? Attitude, ethics and communication. So what was the purpose to introduce a concept of EdCom into a medical students by NMC? Any idea? So what is the purpose of introducing EdCom by NMC?
So that you can communicate well with the patients.
Okay, so that you can communicate well with the patients. Any other answers? Any other answers? Why EdCom is introduced? At least do you know from which year they introduced the EdCom? From which year they introduced the EdCom? Okay, let me know in the next class in which year they introduced the EdCom and why. Okay, so in this class, the EdCom concept is the role of cadaver as our first teacher. Okay, I think one dissection class is finished, right? Not even one. One class is finished. Dissection. You guys went to dissection hall or not? So what topic you discussed there? Anatomical planes. So what you learnt in anatomical planes? What you have learnt in anatomical planes? Any planes, any anatomical planes that you can remember right now? Which one? What anatomical planes you have learnt in the dissection class? Can you just name them? Basic things, okay. Okay. Sagittal plane, okay. Sagittal plane. Any other answers? Horizontal plane and oblique plane, okay. Supine positions, okay. Prone position, okay, fine. Any other answers? Come in. So have you guys seen the cadaver there? No, not yet. Okay. Introduction, only introduction, okay. So to learn the concept that how the cadaver plays a first teacher role in any medical student life, we should know four basic things, okay. The very first one is Body Donation Act. And the second one is embalming and preservation method. Okay. The third concept is rules and regulations followed in dissection hall. Okay. And the last one is how to manage biomedical waste. The first one is Body Donation Act or procedure. Second one is embalming and preservative methods. The third one is rules and regulations to be followed in your dissection hall. And the last one is how to manage the biomedical waste. These are the very four basic concepts you should know before discussing about the cadaver role. Okay. So we'll start with the very first topic, Body Donation Act. What do you know about Body Donation Act? Where is Mike? Is all about discussion. Okay. So let's start with the very first topic, Body Donation Act or procedures. This row, this particular row. Is he audible to everybody? No?
Body Donation Act signed an agreement signed by the person that after his death, his body will be donated to medical colleges for the learning of uses and technologies.
Okay. Next. Any other answers? It's okay. Say it once again. It's
Body donation act, it's like a agreement that the patient signs before his death, or if he dies, then someone close to him or a family member can agree that certain organs of his or her body can be donated, or organs can be used by someone after his death.
okay, fine. So, what are the procedures we should follow for Body Donation Act? Last one. Last. What procedures we should follow for the Body Donation Act? Others concentrate. Yes, right. Documentation is very important. Next. Verification of the documents. Okay. And consent of the patient. That's it. Okay. Any other points you guys want to add for Body Donation Act?
Medical, if the organs are okay for donation.
Medical institutes.
Like if his or her body organs are
Stop talking.
appropriate to be donated, then it's of no use.
Okay, whether we have to check whether the body is appropriate to be acceptable by the medical colleges, whether it is useful for our further studies or research purpose or not, that we have to check. Okay. Any other answers? So when was the Body Donation Act was officially or legally introduced? In which year? In which year the Body Donation Act is officially introduced? Just pass this mic. 1949. Okay. Any other answers? Indian government has legally or officially brought up a concept or an act called Anatomy Act in 1948. Okay. This particular act is to legalize the body donation programs in every medical colleges or the registered medical colleges present in India. Okay. In 1949, Maharashtra introduced a special act called Bombay Anatomy Act or Bombay Anatomy Body Donation Act. That happened in 1949. Okay. So this is the one important point you should remember. There are two sources for the body donation. What are those? Two sources for body donation. One is voluntarily registered body donation and the another one is unclaimed body donation. Okay. So what do you mean by unclaimed body donation? What is the procedure? The first one is voluntarily registered body donation. We all know when the patient is leaving or a person is leaving, he himself register for the body donation program. Okay. That is called voluntarily donated body, or in some colleges they even mention it as a anatomically gifted body also. Okay. The second one is unclaimed body donation. So what do you mean by unclaimed body donation?
मतलब जैसे कोई मतलब किसी बॉडी को जो मतलब कोई ले नहीं रहा होगा, इसका कोई घर वाला ना हो, मतलब ले नहीं रहा, तो उस बॉडी को वो लोग किसी हॉस्पिटल या किसी कॉलेज में दे देते ताकि स्टूडेंट्स उसको सीख पाए.
Okay. Any other answers? What do you mean by unclaimed body donation? What is the procedure to take such bodies? What is the procedure to take unclaimed bodies? Okay, when a death happens in the restricted area of the particular medical colleges or hospitals, okay, government hospitals. So such bodies will be first taken care by the police officers. When nobody comes to collect such bodies, even after 48 hours, such bodies will be considered as unclaimed bodies. If nobody come and recognize that body, neither the family members, friends or any person, such bodies will be later given to the registered medical colleges or hospitals for a research purpose mainly. Okay, so we have to wait until 48 hours to take such bodies. And what are the kind of bodies that are unacceptable for donation? What bodies are or what cadavers are unacceptable? Pass that mic here. Okay, bodies with piercings and tattoos. Is it right? If a body have piercings and tattoos, we don't accept such bodies. Is it right or wrong?
Okay, so it's severe injuries and injuries for secondary.
That is right. Okay. Any other answers? Headless bodies. Okay. Bodies with infections. Okay. What types of infections? Please use the mic and answer. Collect the mic, second row.
Body is infected disease like HIV.
Okay. Next. You just mentioned about that. Accidental. Okay. No, this row. Any other answers? First bench. So remember, mostly bodies will be taken for your study if the person had a natural death. Okay, if it comes under any kind of crime or any accident, if a person is suffering from severe health issues, those type of bodies are unacceptable. And the person suffering from HIV, hepatitis B, and what else, TB, such bodies are also not accepted. Okay, what is the reason? Fine. Any other points you guys want to add for body donation act or procedure? This row. Any other points? Take 2 minutes. So in the body donation act, for a very basic points you have to remember is, it was legally introduced by Indian government in 1948 by an act called Anatomy Act. Okay. There will be always two sources for body donation. One is voluntarily registered, the another one is unclaimed body. The unclaimed body will be taken only after 48 hours. Okay. These are the very basic information you should remember. Okay. The next topic is embalming and preservation method. The last row. Mike. start discussing about the embalming methods and the preservation method of your cadaver. Now we have received the body, we have finished all the paperwork from both the side, from the patient side or from the police officer side and also from the college side. They have left the body in the dissection hall and everyone left. So we have the body or the cadaver now. So what we have to do next? We have to do embalming of the body first. Later, once we finish the embalming, we have to preserve the body for our further use or further study or for research purpose. So how we are going to do that embalming? How we are going to do the embalming procedure? Or how we are going to preserve the body? By using formalin. Okay. Any other answers?
Cold storage.
Cold storage. Okay. Pass mic to her, please.
You drain the blood out of the vascular system.
Okay. First we have to drain the blood out from the vascular system. Then what else? Someone please discuss about the preservative methods. How we are going to preserve the cadaver or the body in the dissection hall. Please use the mic. Pass here to the last table. Take mic from here. By using formalin, cold storage he mentioned. Any other thing you want to add? Say it again. Okay, instead of blood we have to inject the formalin. Okay, fine. Okay, remember in the embalming procedure we have mainly 4 types. Okay, the very first one is arterial embalming, the second one is cavity embalming, surface embalming, and the another one is hypodermic embalming. These are the well-known 4 embalming procedures. I'll repeat once again: arterial embalming, cavity embalming, surface embalming, and hypodermic embalming. Okay, the one procedure that is widely used is arterial embalming. So how to do the arterial embalming? As she mentioned, first we have to remove blood from the vascular system. So from which vein or from which artery we are going to drain the blood out from the body? From which vein or from which artery we are going to drain the blood out from the body? Carotid artery. Okay. Any other answers? Stop talking. Any other answers? The one commonly or widely used embalming procedure is arterial embalming. Okay. So what we do in arterial embalming is, first through your right internal jugular vein, we will drain all the blood out from the body. Okay. Yes, jugular vein. From the right internal jugular vein which is present in your neck region. Okay, remember these 2 points. Okay. Once after draining the blood out of the body, now we have to inject something called embalming fluid. Embalming fluid into the body. To inject the embalming fluid into the body, we mainly choose 2 arteries. The first one is common carotid artery, again the right common carotid artery, and another one is femoral artery which is present in your anterior aspect of the thigh region. Okay, these are the 2 common artery which we use to inject the embalming fluid. Okay. So now what is the composition of that embalming fluid? Formalin is there as he mentioned. What are the other things? Only formalin is enough? No. Okay, so what else we need? What else we need along with the formalin? What is the composition of embalming fluid? Anybody from this row? Okay, along with formalin, we use water, okay, and also methanol or ethanol and glycerin. What is the one more thing? Saliva. Saline water. Oh, no. Huh. Phenoxy? Say it once again. Phenoxytol. What do you mean by phenoxytol? It's a chemical composition through which a body is preserved. Okay, sit on. So for embalming fluid, we use 61% of water, 5% of formalin, and 20% of methanol or ethanol, 10% of glycerin, and one more component is there that you have to find out and tell me in next class. Okay? Glycerin. Glycerin I only mentioned 10%. Water 61%, formalin 5%, methanol or ethanol 20%, and glycerin is 10%. There is one more preservative or chemical that you have to tell me in the next class. It is used, sometimes it is used in 3%, sometimes it is used in 1%, only 1%. So figure out or find out which one is that and tell me in the next session. Okay, this is how the embalming procedure will be done. Once the embalming is done, yes, as he mentioned, we are going to store that body in the cold storage, or sometimes we'll dump the entire body in the formalin tank for a preservation. Whenever it is required, we'll take it out, we'll do our study or research, then we will again put the cadaver in the same place. Okay, this is how the embalming and preservative method will be done. Any doubts? Any doubts in these two topics, body donation and preservative methods? No? Remember, body donation and embalming is again a separate 5 marks question. That you will again have one more EdCom class or one more module class. Okay, so I am going to discuss only the basic which is required to study the role of cadaver part. Okay, so the next one is rules and regulations to be followed in the dissection hall. Where is the mic? Pass it. What are the rules and regulations we should? Thank you. I'll give it to the last row. The last one you guys discuss. Okay, this one. So what are the rules and regulation one should follow in the dissection hall? Rules and regulation must be followed by students, teaching staff and non-teaching staff also. Okay. So tell me, what are the rules we all should follow before entering or after entering the dissection hall? We'll give chance for this row this time. Okay. Get up. Anybody from this row, get up and answer. First and foremost thing is dress code. Okay. Different colleges or different hospitals have different dress code. So one should know about the dress code of particular institute or hospital where you are working and follow that. That is very important. The second one is you should always wear apron before entering the dissection class. This is like a mandatory thing, and buttoning up your apron is also important. Okay, in the dissection class. Okay, in the dissection class you have to wear apron and button up. What else? You have to wear gloves. Okay, while dissecting or handling any organs. Even some professors will tell you to wear gloves when you are showing or when you are demonstrating your osteology part also, where you are handling the bones also. Some professor will ask you to wear the gloves. Okay. Anything else? Mask, okay, mask. Mask is more like a personal choice, okay. Okay, that I think we'll discuss when we are talking about the main topic, okay. Now we'll discuss what are the basic rules and regulation we also. Turn it on. We should not? We should not eat or drink in the dissection hall. Okay, anything else?
Ma'am, eardrums.
Yeah, say it in the mic. It's okay, say it.
Ma'am, eardrums.
Eardrums. What do you mean by that? What are the rules and regulation we should follow in the dissection hall? So always remember to wear your apron. You should not drink or eat anything inside the dissection hall. Make sure to wear a gloves before entering the or after entering the dissection hall. As she mentioned, wearing face mask is personal choice. It's all up to you. If you want to wear it, you can wear. If you don't want, nobody will force you to do that. Okay. Apart from that, tying hair is also very important. If anybody is having long hair, irrespective of gender, I am saying all these points, wait for 2 minutes. Irrespective of gender, if you have a long hair, it's better to put it in a bun or pleat it and put it inside your apron and cover it up. Okay. And if you have long nails, make sure it won't disturb you during the dissection process. That is also important. Okay. Any extensions, mostly they will ask you to remove it. So make sure to have a short nails during the dissection time. Okay, please.
अगर बॉडी में कट्स वगैरह हो तो उसको भी प्रॉपर तरीके से कवर करना चाहिए फिर रूल्स के हिसाब से अगर मतलब जो डेड बॉडी का फोटो ले सकते हैं पर उसको भी सोशल मीडिया में अपलोड नहीं करना चाहिए
Yes, okay. Yeah, you can take the photos of cadaver.
प्रॉपर्ली मतलब उसके डाइसेक्शन के बाद प्रॉपर्ली हाथ वगैरह एकदम क्लीननेस मेंटेन करना चाहिए
So you can take photos or videos for educational purpose, but you are not allowed to share it in a social media. Okay. Next, the other thing is you have to wash your hands thoroughly after once you finish your dissection hours. Okay. Anything else? Keep your phones inside. Anything else? Any other rules and regulations? Avoid wearing rings, bracelets, bangles, all these things in the dissection hall. Yeah, that she mentioned already. Any other points or any other rules you all want to follow in dissection hall? So can we move on to the last one? How to manage the biomedical waste, this row. Please start discussing about how to manage the biomedical waste. Stop talking. What do you mean by biomedical waste? What do you mean by biomedical waste?
It is a waste that is obtained after treating an injury or illness or in the laboratory after diagnosis.
Okay, how you are going to dispose that waste?
Not by segregating that waste. Segregation.
We have to do segregation. Okay, next.
There are different colored pens in the hospital. It's yellow, red, white, and blue.
Okay, we have different colors. According to that color, we have to follow the rules and segregate the waste. Okay, next.
This different object goes in these different bins.
Okay, that's pass the mic here for the first one. Same. Okay, fine. Any other answers? Do you guys want to answer anything in the mic? Pass the mic here, please. Some of the biomedical wastes, we will bury them. Some maintaining log books, okay. Maintaining logbook come under rules and regulation of your dissection. Okay, you have to write your logbook not only regarding the dissection classes but also regarding your theory classes, histo, osteo. Each and every class you have to mention in your logbooks. Okay. So, under the heading how to manage the biomedical waste, we have 5 important points to remember. The first and foremost thing is reduction of waste. We have to reduce the waste as much as possible. Okay. The second one is segregation. As she mentioned, the second one is segregation and the third one is storage. Once we segregate, we should make sure how to store those segregated waste. Okay. After that, transportation. Okay, what do you mean by transportation here? Whatever the waste we have collected, that we have to transport from the particular hospital or colleges to some other area to dispose it. Okay, that is called transportation. And the last one is treatment of biomedical waste. How we are going to treat it. These are the 5 important headings you have to remember under the treatment manage of biomedical waste. The very first one is reduction, the second one is segregation, the third one is storage, the fourth one is transport and the last one is treatment. So take 10 minutes all of you. If you want use YouTube or Google and discuss among with your friends and tell me how exactly the treatment of biomedical waste we are going to do. No, take some time. Take 5 minutes first all of you.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bhavya from Haryana. So we are talking about the steps of the biomedical waste treatment. First is segregation. Segregation means the separation at the source. Waste is separated at a place where it is generated, like box, trash, operation vehicles. Okay. Then उसके बाद we have to keep it in the different bins. We have discussed in next final features. So that's are yellow color, red color, white color, and blue color bins. And type of waste we have to dispose in different colors. Bins are in type 1 we have to dispose human and animals anatomical waste. And in that one we have to dispose contaminated recyclable waste. And in white and translucent waste we have to dispose the sharp waste like needles. And in blue one we have to dispose glassware and medical implements. Some examples of these waste in human animal waste we have bandages, placentas, organs, body parts, etc. In contaminated recyclable waste we have IV tubes, catheters, gloves. And in sharp waste we have needles, scalpels, etc. And in glassware mechanical implant we have broken vials, glass sliders, etc. And there is also treatment method for biomedical waste that we have human generated. We have to incinerate or debury them. For the IV tubes and catheters, we have to autoclaving, microwave them, and shred them. And for the needles, we have to autoclave, shred, and encapsulation for them. And for broken vials, we have to disinfect and recycle. Next, we have next my friend. जैसे उन्होंने तो सारे बेसिक स्टेप्स बोल ही दिए हैं तो मैं उसके बाद हम फिर हम उसके प्रति अवेयरनेस रखना जरूरी है कि उसको हम कैसे मैनेज करना है, क्या नहीं करना है, क्योंकि ऐसा भी हो सकता है और है कि हमें रेगुलर मॉनिटरिंग, हमें रेगुलरली उसको देखते रहना चाहिए कि वो उसमें मतलब कोई रिएक्शन हो रहा है क्या, कहीं वो सड़ ना जाए, बा जो वो वेस्ट बना है वो प्रॉपर्ली मतलब डिस्पोज हो रहा है या नहीं, क्या हो रहा है कि ये सब देखना चाहिए। और हम उसके बाद एज ए हमारे जो सरकार है, गवर्नमेंट है, उन्होंने गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने 2016 में एक रूल बनाया था, बायोमेडिकल वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट रूल। उसी के हिसाब से मतलब हमें देखना कि क्लाइमेटिक चेंजेस के कारण कभी-कभी होता है कि किसी जगह में गर्मी ज्यादा पड़ रही है तो जल्दी डिग्रेड हो जाता है, कभी किसी जगह में कम गर्मी पड़ती है तो धीरे-धीरे डिग्रेड होता है। उसी क्लाइमेटिक चेंज को मेंटेन रखने के लिए और ताकि मतलब हमारा जो पर्यावरण है वो खराब ना हो, उसके लिए भी मतलब ये सब देखना जरूरी होता है। और इसके साथ इतना ही है, और बाकी है कि सबको इसके प्रति अवेयर रहना चाहिए, चाहे वो स्टूडेंट हो, जो मैनेजमेंट स्टाफ होगा, जो टीचर्स हो,
You want to
मतलब
put something?
कैसे हमें ये सब मेंटेन करना है। बस इतना कह के मैं स्पीच खत्म करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
Okay. Body Donation Act, embalming and preservative methods, followed by rules and regulations should be followed in your dissection hall, and the last one is how to manage the biomedical waste. Any doubts in these 4 basic concepts? Any doubts? Or anything you guys want to discuss about these 4 things? No? So, shall we move on to the very first or main heading, the role of cadaver as a first teacher? Okay, so what do you mean by the role of cadaver as a first teacher? What do you mean by that? Is it really important to address cadaver as a first teacher in the medical colleges when you have so many other professors, tutors, and everybody else to teach you about the particular subject? If you want to know about anatomy, we have professors, we have tutors, they'll teach you everything. Maybe it's gross anatomy, embryology, histo, osteo, everything. When we have professors and everyone to teach you the subject, why we want to address cadaver as a first teacher? What is the need? Or what is the purpose? Practical knowledge, okay. For practical knowledge, we can use 3D models also, right? No, not possible. You don't get the, accuracy will be not there, okay. In hand experience, okay. Any other thing? Say it once again, please.
For better understanding of the position of the internal organs and nerves.
Positions of the internal organs. To learn about the positions of the internal organs, okay. Okay, first I'll ask one question to everybody. Do we really have to treat a cadaver as with respect? Yes? Everybody? Okay. Whoever think we should treat cadaver with respect, please raise your hand. Okay. So now, whoever think there is no need to respect the cadaver, please raise your hands. No one? No one in the class? Okay, so what if I raise my hand and I'll tell that no, we don't have to respect the cadaver. I don't respect the cadaver, it is not really required. Or what if I just say cadaver is just a dead body, so I don't respect it. And if I say I raise my hand for this, how you are going to convince me that we have to treat a cadaver with respect? This row, what you guys are doing? Huh? You all raised your hands. Stop talking. You all raised your hands, right? We have to treat cadaver with respect. But now I am telling no, I will not respect the cadaver. How you are going to convince me? Or how you are going to argue with me about this? Pass that mic. Others, please listen.
So, ma'am, basically someone has given his body for us.
But I didn't ask him to give his body. Did I ask him? Did I ask him, give your body, I want it?
For better learning.
Okay, for better learning, he gave the body. But I could have learned from 3D model also. It wasn't really required for me.
Yeah, you could, but if you are using the cadaver, then you also respect it.
Even after using also, I'm telling, it's just a dead body, right? Why I have to respect it?
Actually, it's not just a dead body.
Okay.
It was someone's lying. It's which is decided to protect for the betterment of the one for the medical field.
Okay, fine. Anybody else? That you want to argue in the last minute? So if someone comes and tell you all that I don't respect the cadaver, you all are just going to sit like this and leave it like, oh, okay, fine. If you don't respect, it's all up to you.
We respect cadaver.
You respect the cadaver, but I am telling I will not respect the cadaver. So how you are going to convince me? Or how you are going to put some knowledge in me and tell me that we have to respect the cadaver? Take mic from here, please. Yeah, take mic.
I'm attached. Teachers you so academically
Academically?
for the academic purpose of respect.
For the academic purpose, we should respect. Okay, fine. That is like for those who are studying. What about the non-medicos? What if they come and tell you that we don't respect at all?
It had a life previously, so
It had life previously, okay. Anything else?
We should respect these because that's about management success. Many things for that we should respect because it's from the perspective of the person who is for our non-medical students. This person is respect because we are doing what on them for that body and the learning for they will get their better treatment. So should understand why you are doing that. And if a person is thinking that you will not respect, it's up to you.
Okay, if someone says that it's their, if they don't respect, it's all up to them. Okay, fine. So always remember before doing your dissection that the cadaver what you are using for your educational purpose was once a person who lived with love, respect and dignity. This is the first and foremost thing we all should remember before learning the dissection. Okay. So even after the death, even when we are using it as a cadaver or just a thing to learn from it, we should treat it with all the respect and dignity. Okay. And the other thing is we should always respect the privacy of the cadaver. Your cadaver should always be covered from head to toe, from a cloth or from a plastic cover which is not transparent like that. And when you are dissecting, you have to open up in the particular area and you have to do the dissection. So if you are doing a femoral triangle dissection in your thigh region, it's not like you will remove the entire cloth from the cadaver, and no, it's not like that. You have to remove the cloth in the or plastic cover in that thigh region or in the anterior region of your lower limb, and you have to do the dissection. You have to learn the things whichever is required and close it up. Okay. If you are doing the pectoral region, in this region, again the same thing. You have to open up in that particular region and you have to do the dissection. This is how you should respect the privacy of your cadaver. Okay. These are very basic things. Okay. So any other points? And remember, your cadaver will give you the real life experience to learn the things which is required for you. Okay. So when you learn when you do the dissection or when you learn things from the dissection, you are getting to see the real 3D view of the human body. Okay. You will see the anatomical structure of particular organ, whether it's a structure, position, or also the relationship of that particular organ or tissue with the respective other organs. Okay. So it is more like a real life experience. That is the one more reason you have to respect your cadaver. Any other points? Any other points to consider your cadaver as a first teacher? When once you start doing the dissection or learning things from the dissection, you will get to see the organs, different types of tissues or layers of your skin, maybe your superficial fascia or deep fascia. All these things you will get to see, and after that you will start learning about the arteries, veins and nerves. Okay. And you will learn to differentiate between the arteries, veins and nerves also. So right now, do anybody know how to differentiate the arteries, veins and nerves in the body, in the cadaver? You know?
The veins are a little bit superficial, the arteries are deep seated, so that's one way we can.
So veins are little bit superficial and the arteries are deep inside. So that's how you are going to differentiate. Okay. Is it applicable in all the regions? Is this point is applicable in all the regions of the body? No, right? Only in certain areas what you said is right. Okay. So one major point to remember about identification of arteries, veins and nerve is, first you have to touch the particular structure and see whether the volume, I mean the wall thickness of it. Okay. So you have to check the thickness of the wall of that particular structure, and later if you get a chance you can cut and check the lumen of it. So checking the thickness of wall and lumen will help you to identify or differentiate whether the structure is artery, vein or nerve. Okay. This is just a basic thing. How to do it exactly you all will learn when we start doing the dissection. Okay. So what do you know about dissection kit? dissection kit. What are the different equipments present in dissection kit? How many of you have dissection kit? No one? Okay. We have something called scalpel, forceps, scissors, and make sure to buy dissection kit, okay? It is required. Once you come to the dissection class, when we start doing the dissection, first we will give introduction, how to use the different equipments. Later we will start with the dissection, okay? So any other points? So shall we end the session here then? Yes?